An Aryan brother is without a care. He walks where the weak and heartless won't dare. And if by chance he should stumble or lose control, his brothers are there to help reach his goal. For a worthy brother, no need is too great. He need not ask, fulfillment's his fate. For an Aryan brother, death holds no fear. Vengeance will be his, through his brothers still here. For the brotherhood means just what it implies. A brother's a brother till that brother dies. And if he is loyal and never lost faith, in each brother's heart will always be a place. So a brother I am, and will always be, even after my life is taken away from me. I'll lie down content, knowing I stood, head held high, walking proud in the brotherhood.
People that are older and know what time it is know it's just business.
Yeah. Greetings and welcome back. It's your host, Gabe Morales. We've been covering Aryan Brotherhood members over the past 6 decades or so. We'll resume with the S last names, as in shank. A shank is basically an inmate manufactured knife. It can be anything from a toothpick-sized weapon to a bone crusher, basically a sword that will go right through your body, crushing bones. Today, I'll start off with Michael Shepard, aka Shep, aka Tank, who, as I mentioned before in the Aryan Marsh and Gary Luttrell episodes, was involved in the murder of longtime Hells Angel member and president Irish Michael Farrell when he had C number 25456. He was indicted on the 2002 RICO case, but I understand hung himself in December 2005 in the Orange County Jail while that case was still ongoing. There was Albert, aka Baby Al Sherwin, H number, as in Henry, 55936, who was Orange County, I believe the city of Costa Mesa. Understand that he was an NOR and public enemy number 1 associate. Like I said before, often those two support gangs of the ABs are rivals, but sometimes they'll work together. On April 6, 1999, William Austin, aka Billy the Kid, and Aaron Bearmont went into Mark Taylor's trailer behind an automotive shop. The owner of the shop, Natasha Harrison, and Fallen Northrup, aka Outlaw, were there. Understand that Outlaw Northrup was a member of the Nazi lowriders. It appears that William Austin believed that his daughter was in that shop, and Taylor tried to wake up Outlaw Northrup to tell him that Austin was there. Fallen Northrup stated that he didn't care and was going back to sleep. Evidently, William Billy the Kid Austin and Outlaw Northrup were not on the best of terms. Eventually, Northrup got up and Austin pulled out a bag of methamphetamine. Taylor said that he was going to the store to buy some cigarettes and get something to drink. After they left, somebody knocked on Taylor's door. Northrup opened up the door and saw Donald Popeye Mazza, the founder and leader of P9, who had recently paroled from Wasco State Prison earlier that very day. At the same time, Popeye's homeboy, Dominic Droopy Rizzo, who was also a prominent P9 member, and Baby Al Sherman, understand that William Billy the Kid Austin apparently was stabbed by Donald Mazza a total of 6 times in the upper torso and face. And it appears that Baby Al tried to hit Austin with a gun and shoot him, but was unsuccessful. The next day, Orange County sheriffs arrested Rizzo and Sherwin at Rizzo's home. Understand that Donald Popeye Mazza was also later picked up for that case. And in July of 2000, all 3 were charged with conspiracy to commit murder. There was Robert Ray, aka Bobby Ray Shields, out of Bakersfield. I showed he was housed at Folsom Prison in 1975 when he had B number 99475. He was released. I then show that he was arrested on a federal charge and sent to Lompoc. As you may recall, he was involved in a case with Dwayne Grumpy Christensen, whereby they gutted an inmate for his drugs at Old Folsom Prison. He was indicted on the 2001 RICO case, and understand was housed at Lompoc as well as Lewisburg, and was said to be running the Dirty White Boys there. Understand he was housed at Coleman facility in early 2009 when he was hit by a Washington State Northern Structure member by the name of Juan Puppet Saldana. I believe he paroled and was arrested in Kern County when this mugshot was taken, but I'm unsure what happened to him in later years. There was Gavin Irish, aka Snake Shine, who was out of the San Francisco Bay Area. Understand that he was AB in the late 1970s after he murdered a San Francisco Mission District bartender and was given C numbers in Charles, 36642. I recall this guy being mentioned when I started at Folsom Prison as having some juice at Folsom, and I also understand that he was a Nazi lowrider associate, but I lost track of him after that. There was a Jason Shurihart, who I believe was out of Arizona and was involved in the incident in Lewisburg when the AB killed the two DC blacks in August of 1997, as I mentioned in the 2002 RICO case. I believe that Shuart was a member of the Dirty White Boys. There was Thomas Edward Conway Silverstein. Understand that he came from a very abusive family. His dad was named Conway and his mom was named Virginia, and they often got into domestic violence incidents. Later on, I understand that his mom married a man named Silverstein, and he was much more kind to Tommy. I believe he was first picked up for a robbery in Long Beach in 1971 and sent to San Quentin with B number 49046. I then understand he got on that case, but then came back and was housed at CRC in 1973, but then came back on a new robbery conviction in 1975 with B number 68720. It was at that time, I believe, that he was sponsored into the Brown by Moose Forbes. I then show he was involved in bank robberies in 1976 and sent to Leavenworth in 1977, where he is said to be very close to Preacher McAvoy, and celled with Edgar Snell Hevley. And these two were involved in the killing of Danny Atwell with Preacher McAvoy. He ended up being convicted of that homicide, but I understand had it reversed on appeal. He then was housed at Marion in the 1980s, whereby he was involved in multiple incidents, including homicides. In 1981, Silverstein was accused of murdering Robert Chappelle, a member of the DC Blacks prison gang. Raymond Lee Cadillac Smith, considered to be the national leader of the DCBs. Evidently, Cadillac was very angry about the homicide of his homeboy Robert Chappelle. Silverstein claims that he told Cadillac that he didn't kill Chappelle and that he didn't believe Silverstein and bragged to everybody that he was going to kill Tom. Silverstein alleges that Cadillac had tried to shoot at him with a zip gun. Understand that Silverstein and Fountain cut themselves out of an exercise cage to kill Cadillac. According to him, the guards actually wanted to see a showdown and wanted to see which one would kill the other. Silverstein with Clayton Fountain then killed Cadillac Smith, according to reports stabbing him 67 times. It is also alleged that after he was dead, they dragged his body up and down the catwalk of the cells, displaying it for other prisoners to see. On October 22, 1983, Silverstein is said to have killed Corrections Officer Merle Klutz for confiscating some of his art supplies and harassing him. A few hours later, inmate Clayton Fountain killed Corrections Officer Robert Hoffman. It was the only time in BOP history that two officers were killed on the same day. At that point, then, Silverstein was placed in isolation, which would last for the rest of his life. He was transferred to USP Atlanta and held there until the 1987 prison riots by Cuban Marilitos, which are Cuban nationals that were arrested after the Muriel boat lift. After the Atlanta facility had been taken over by the Cubans and much of it destroyed, he was moved back to Leavenworth, where he would stay for the next 18 years in the Hannibal Lecter room. Anytime that Silverstein was moved, it is said that he was surrounded by at least 8 corrections officers, and he was totally isolated from other inmates until the 2002 AB RICO trial. After Leavenworth was downgraded to medium security, he was transferred to the ADX, but died in May of 2019 of heart failure. There was Ronald A.K. Slocum, who was a longtime Aryan Brotherhood member and council member when he had C numbers in Charles, 30521. Prison gang expert Richard Valdemar printed an article in a police magazine where he talks about how he and the LA County Sheriff's Department's Major Crimes Bureau and Prison Gang Surveillance Team were staking out Slocum in Chino Hills when they arrested him. You could check out that article for some pretty interesting details on how the AB operates. Understand that Slocum also considered to be an advisor amongst several of the skinhead groups in California and was indicted on the RICO case in 2002 and given BOP number 73629-012, but that show was released in May of 2015. There's an individual I'd like to mention briefly by the name of Mitch Smiley. He was not an Aryan Brotherhood, but he knew a lot of them, who has his own YouTube channel called Hard Intentions. Check that out if you get a chance. I've seen several of his episodes. He has some pretty good stuff and is a very good artist. And I remember on one of the episodes where Mitch Smiley talks about a guy from Oregon, a Nazi, stabbed Danny Dog by the San Quentin gym on the Big Yard in 1973. Well, that individual was none other than Steve Kessler, who was an Aryan Brotherhood member who broke off and formed the host of Valhalla and was sent out to Oregon State, as I mentioned in several episodes. When I covered Rawlinson, I mentioned that I lost track of him after the 1970s. Well, Thanks to viewers, I found out that he was addicted to drugs in the 1980s through 2000s, mostly hanging out in the East San Diego County area. And I'm told that he died on September 20th, 2018. So that's what I mean. You guys helped me out quite a bit in the comment section, put the missing pieces together. And I will include that in my book on the Aryan Brotherhood. There was Clifford, aka One Eye Smith, who I understand was sponsored by Blinky Griffin in the late 1970s after he pulled a robbery beef. Understand that he was involved in the 187 of Stephen Loser Clark on July 3rd, 1982, with Michael Thompson. But after the killing of Stephen Barnes' dad, Richard Barnes, both Smith and Thompson felt that the Aryan Brotherhood had gone too far, and both dropped out and became expert witnesses against the gang. I last show that Clifford Smith was in protective custody at Corcoran State Prison in 2006 when I lost track of him. There was Kurt Spanky Smite. Now, I've had one viewer state that it's pronounced Smith. I dealt with Spanky several times, and all the guards there at Folsom called him Smythe, and he never corrected us. Understand that he was sent to the feds in the early 1980s under BOP number 74667. 012, and is seen in this picture here with, I believe, Wayne Bridgewater, Preacher McAvoy, and M.A. shot caller Roland Berry. He then was released from the feds and sent back to the California Department of Corrections, where I dealt with him in the late 1980s. I understand that Kurt Spanky Smythe died in 1998. There was Junior Snider out of Bakersfield. I was told that Junior had a Marine Corps background and was housed at the Kern County Jail in June of 1975. He then went to CRC after his conviction, but was cut loose in 1976. He was popped on some robbery beefs and was at CIM in 1980 when they attacked 4 blacks. Like I said previously, I thought one of them was named Gibson, but I could be mixing those up. When I get to the BGF, I'll try to find out what Gibson I thought it was. After one of our viewers brought it to my attention that T-Bone Gibson wasn't black, I researched it and found out it was a different guy who was white and had disrespected the Mexican Mafia. I did verify via reliable sources that Junior Snider stabbed him multiple times and Blinky Griffin cut his neck, killing him at CIM on October 13, 1980. Supposedly this was done as a show of support to the Mexican Mafia, that they would not allow even their own members to disrespect a gang that had also done many hits for them. Understand that he was transferred out to the Ontario City Jail, I believe for that homicide, when he escaped on December 11, 1980. He was eventually captured and understand held at Folsom 4A in the early 1980s. I understand he was released and had a tattoo shop where many of the local white gangsters would hang out. But I was told died of cancer on November 28, 2004. There was Jack Stanzel, who I believe was out of South Carolina, and went to the BOP under number 97502-131. It's my understanding that he was an Aryan Brotherhood member, and on March 27, 2002, hit a DC Black. He then was housed at the ADX from 2004 to 2006, but Aisha was deceased on June 8, 2019. There was Marvin Chunky Stanton, who is a longtime Aryan Brotherhood member, as proven by his rock and AB over his heart when he had C number 18702. Understand he was held at Corcoran State Prison in 1989 and was on the council, then moved up to the commission. I showed that he was housed at Solano State Prison in the year 2020, but is presently housed at Los Angeles County State Prison in Lancaster. There's John Youngster Stinson, who, as a very young man, ended up joining the Aryan Brotherhood. I showed that he was housed at CRC in 1975 with the N number, then was let out and was involved in some robberies in 1977, as well as being involved in the homicide of Jack Red Mahone, which I've talked about in several previous episodes, so I won't get into details here. I showed then he was sent to CDC in 1978 with B number 77905. I showed he was eventually released in the 1980s, but came back into custody with C numbers in Charles 40154. And I showed that he was housed at San Quentin in 1984. I then showed that he was housed at the LA County Jail when it was discovered that he and his wife, Deborah, she doesn't like to be called Debbie, Stinson, was smuggling in drugs to him. And that major operation was covered very well by renowned LA area investigative reporter Chris Blatchford. Then showed that he was housed at Pelican Bay SHU for many years, but was indicted on the RICO case and sent to the BOP under number 51314-079. I show that he was housed at Terminal Island in 2006, but I understand was sent back to California where he remained in good standing. But I was told tried to get a retired in good standing clause and remove himself from the California Commission, which did not go over well with many individuals. And I show has been housed at California State Prison, Solano County, for the last few years. And lastly, we have William Lee, aka Billy from Norco, Sylvester. I show he rose to prominence in the late 1990s when he had H number 71192. And I understand was involved in a homicide in 1998. I then show that he was housed at New Folsom Beef Facility in 2010, and at least at one time was sold up with California Commission member Ronnie Renegade Yandell. I then show that he was involved in the homicide of a USA skinhead named Ron Richard in October of 2011. He then was indicted on the 2019 RICO case and was just recently convicted while he was housed at my old stomping grounds, Sacramento County State Prison, also known as New Folsom, but soon should be sent to the feds. And so, that's all I have for the S last names. Seriously, that was a lot of individuals, but I'm glad I got through that. We're almost to the end of our roll call. I hope you enjoyed what you've seen during this series and continue supporting this channel no matter what subject is covered. For now, this is Gabe Morales signing off for gangsters, cops, and politicians. An Aryan brother is without a care. He walks where the weak and heartless won't dare. And if by chance he should stumble or lose control, his brothers are there to help reach his goal. For a worthy brother, no need is too great. He need not ask, fulfillment's his fate. For an Aryan brother, death holds no fear. Vengeance will be his, through his brother still here. For the brotherhood means just what it implies. A brother's a brother till that brother dies. And if he is loyal and never lost faith, in each brother's heart will always be a place. So a brother I am, and will always be, even after my life is taken away from me. I'll lie down content, knowing I stood, head held high, walking proud in the brotherhood.
People that are older know what time it is, man. It's just business.
Yeah.